the detail about, the Daniel fast and all those wonderful things. But if you are planning on doing that, absolutely, get together with some of you can talk to me, you can talk to Pastor Teresa, you can talk with many of the prayer warriors that have experience in fasting and have actually seen many of the breakthroughs that have happened because of fasting. And am I up, Cindy? Good to go. And so today, as I was kind of reflecting again on fasting and how we're going to individually fast, for ourselves, but also again as a church body, a corporate fast. And traditionally, with New Hope Central Oahu, we have done this many times, and again, we've seen a lot of breakthrough happen. Marriages being healed, family members coming to Christ. We've seen people get healed, relationships. We've seen bondages being broken. People being addicted to certain things, strongholds in their lives, and fasting, breaks all of this stuff off. Amen. And so we're going to talk about the 9 purposes to fasting. The 9 purposes to fasting. Now, if you look at your notes, you notice that your notes are blank. And that was because I blame it on the Christmas holiday, right? Because we have a bulletin crew, a very, very faithful bulletin crew. And even them, we had to give them the day off, right? And so, I was talking with Pam. We were like, just put blank notes in there. And everybody can kind of write notes and write whatever they want. But I have my notes, okay? So that'll keep me on track. But I'll go, as slow as I can so you can kind of follow along. But again, as I was praying about fasting, I came up with another acronym. Hey, right? Another acrostic, and because it helps to keep me organized, right? FAST, and we're going to talk about that. And of course, God gave me kind of the picture of going to Disneyland, right? How many of you guys go to Disneyland and you guys get a fast pass, right? I remember back in, I think the second time when we went to Disneyland, and I never really knew about fast passes. For those of you that don't know what a fast pass is, we were standing in line, I believe it was to Space Mountain, I think, I don't know, whatever ride it was. And then my sister-in-law comes running over and she goes, here's some fast passes. I'm like, what are those? She said, you can go in this line now, so you don't have to wait in the long line over there. You can go over here because you have a fast pass. And then in my mind, I felt kind of guilty because I felt like I was cutting. How many of you guys felt that? Right? But, right, some of you guys are shaking your heads, right? But I was like, nah, yeah, let's just go. We got a fast pass. So, I kind of was playing with the idea of having direct access. Catch this now. Having direct access to the Lord. And in particular, having direct access to the secret place. Now, the secret place is defined as a place where you go to God. But notice that on the Fast Pass ticket, and I'm going to show a picture of it later on, there's a designated time and a designated place. So when we think in terms of fasting, brothers and sisters, designate a time, designate a place where you can be one-on-one with the Lord. Amen? Make sense? Thanks for the encouragement. So that's where I was kind of going with that. Okay, so everybody with me. Fast pass to the secret place. Now, before we jump into it, brothers and sisters, we usually do a segment here at New Hope, and Pastor Mike Palompo kind of started this, and I kind of like it. And I don't mean to dampen the mood or kind of get into a kind of a somber mood or anything like that, but Pastor Mike usually does a segment called Notable Deaths of the past year. So in this case, Notable Deaths of 2014. And so I just want to talk about some of this and cause us to reflect a little bit on our lives. Okay, I don't mean to, again, dampen the mood, but certainly I believe life here on earth is meant to be celebrated. Amen. Okay, so here we see, how many of you guys know this guy? Casey Kasem, right? You can see I have the dates there of when he was born and when he passed on. But I'm going to read a little bit of his bio. Of course, we know Casey Kasem. Of course, we know Casey Kasem. Do I have to call it up again? Of course, we know Casey Kasem as an American disc jockey, radio personality, right? He was a music historian, radio personality. He was also a voice actor. How many of you guys know that he was the voice for Shaggy in the original Scooby-Doo cartoons, right? And I remember watching that and I was like, oh yeah, that's his voice. He's a very distinct voice. So he was Shaggy, but he was also Robin, Batman and Robin. He was also Robin in Super Friends, of course, back in the 80s, right? For those of us that grew up in the 80s. He was also one of the characters in the original Transformer cartoons. How many of you guys knew that? Later on in life, unfortunately, he had Parkinson's disease. And I remember one time, just kind of following along in the news, that he suffered from dementia, right? And that was kind of big on the news, of course. And of course, he succumbed to Parkinson's disease at the age of 82. Okay, so I believe he lived a long, wonderful life. The next gentleman, if you guys recognize him, his name is Joe Cocker, right? Some of you guys are shaking your heads. Joe Cocker is an English rock and blues singer, right? He was known for his gritty voice, and he did a lot of Beatles covers, right? With a little help from my friends. I don't know if you guys remember that song. He also came out with the Wonder Years. You are so beautiful to me. He sang the theme song to the TV show Wonder Years. And he's also famous for the duet that he did with Jennifer Warnes. Love lifts us up where we belong, right? He had a very gritty voice. In 2008, he was awarded the Order of the British Empire. Okay, so he wasn't knighted, but he was awarded for his services to music. Okay, so I know that the OBE, or the Order of the British Empire, has 5 different levels. The first 2 is when you get knighted, right? That's when they say, okay, now they call you Sir Joe Cocker. Just like I think Elton John or Sir Paul McCartney, kind of a thing. But he was like awarded the one on the bottom. But it's still, it's still pretty prestigious. He succumbed to lung cancer. He was a smoker. Okay, so he had lung cancer. But just kind of think about, as we talk about this, brothers and sisters, think about what will they be remembered for, right? What will they be remembered for? This next actor, I don't know if you guys recognize him. This was kind of a shocker to me. His name is Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's a pretty well-known actor. He does a lot of minor roles, but he also does a lot of major roles. Very prolific actor. What was shocking was he died at the age of 46. Pretty young. But what happened was, New York Times declared him, and I quote, perhaps the most ambitious and widely admired American actor of his generation. He was a really good actor in my mind. I wasn't necessarily into the roles that he played, some of it, but he was a really good actor. I remember him as the bad guy in Mission Impossible. You guys remember that? He was also in Hunger Games, Mockingjay, right? Part 1. I know my kids will recognize him. So after he filmed Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, 9 months later is when he died. So he died in the middle of filming Mockingjay Part 2. Okay. He was in Manhattan with a syringe in his arm. So he was addicted to drugs, right? Heroin. And they found traces of cocaine, benzodiazepines, and amphetamines in his system. And again, he died at age 46. Pretty tragic, in my opinion, right? How many of you recognize this lady? Right? Classic character. She will forever be known in my mind as Alice from the Brady Bunch. She was 88 years old, 88 years old, so she lived a long life. She was actually wonderfully healthy, according to the doctors, a very healthy woman. She died in San Antonio, Texas, in her home. Unfortunately, she fell in the bathroom and she suffered from subdural hematoma. She hit her head, swelling of the brain, right, and she couldn't recover. 88 years old, and she will always be remembered as Alice from the Brady Bunch. Joan Rivers, right? This was kind of a shocker to me as well. 81 years old. Of course, she was a comedian, writer, producer, TV host, very controversial, right? She had a very sharp tongue, very witty. She often lampooned some of the celebrities and all the different political figures out there. She was mentored by Johnny Carson, right? What happened was she had a lot of, I guess, plastic surgery. And so she went into surgery again. I think she was going to get like a throat procedure done or something like that. And then the reports say that somebody messed up on the anesthesia, like it was the wrong dosage or something like that. And what happened was she never had enough oxygen to the brain. And so, of course, she suffered brain damage while she was under. Yeah.